Welcome to another edition of 12.5 Minutes. My name is Jared Kelly with my friend and co-host Liz Whitehead.
Hi, Jared.
So good to see you as always.
You too.
So we have an opportunity to do something a little bit unique, and that is to think about some of the things that we've learned through this process working together, and then also some of the things that we're looking forward to, right? And I I look back on this opportunity to collaborate with you with like such joy because we were just having casual conversations in Denver at WBENC and meeting and talking to people and very casually just not BSing, but certainly networking and
Connections.
yes, making connections, and it was fun. It was fun. It was fun talking to people, and then I think they naturally gravitated towards the energy that we were bringing to them, right? And and that also kind of gave us I guess, an idea that why shouldn't we collaborate? Why can't a minority firm, a MBE, combine and collaborate with a WBE, right? And besides that, going to all those conferences is a big investment, right? So what are your thoughts about all that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a journey since that first conference, and I went to another conference since then too, like the NGLCC conference. And so often we've talked about this before, like when I'm recommending to clients, like you have to go, you have to see these people, and they don't want to go. It's like so much money. It's the same people I see all the time. Like I hear this all the time, like these people know me. And it's like, well, yeah, like we knew each other too, but we wouldn't have come up with this idea if we weren't in that same space, in person, not just on Zoom, face to face, gathering the energy of the room. So I think it's super important.
I'm not only excited about what we've done, but also what we will do. And NMSDC is coming up. NMSDC is coming up, and we'll be able to get out of these boxes here on the screen and see each other face to face again.
I know. I'm looking forward to going to Atlanta because I mentioned NGLCC briefly, but that's the other thing is like you do meet people you wouldn't meet otherwise. There's definitely like the usual suspects that go to all the things. I guess I'm one of them. But there's also people that, yeah, I mean, we're there, but we meet people. Like I met the head of the NGLCC regional affiliate in the Carolinas. It's like, I don't think I would have met Mel if I hadn't been there. And it wasn't at like, a matchmaking meeting or something. We stood next to each other at a reception. Like it was total happenstance. And so I'm looking forward to making some of those connections at NMSDC and also bringing 12.5 minutes there.
Right. And that's I think that's where we get into an opportunity to really bridge, right? Bridge these connections, these interviews that we've had, and bridge them into our networks in real time. Being able to, you know, introduce someone face to face and see if it blossoms, see if it grows, and those relationships have to start somewhere. But we're able to utilize our own equity in a relationship and transfer it to our friends that we've interviewed and some of the people that we know, which makes the whole experience, I think, better. Not only looking forward to the conference, but also looking forward to the interactions outside of the trade show and all that, where it can be a little bit stiff or it's a little bit more transactional when it comes down to walking up to a booth that you may or may not know someone. But now let's usher people to a booth and have better conversations. That's exactly what you did at WeBank. I would have felt completely out of place without you. So thank you for doing that and making that trip and all that cost and expense worth it, every single penny, every single penny.
Oh, that's great. Well, and you're going to do the same for me in Atlanta. And we're going to see some of the people that we interviewed too.
Absolutely. I do know like we you know what we interviewed Brooke and she mentioned that she was working on the I program, the Emerging Young Entrepreneurs Program for NMSDC. That episode hasn't released yet, but it is coming. It is coming for the audience. So definitely check that out. But Brooke was amazing at being able to work on branding and positioning, and we'll definitely get a chance to talk to her and maybe a few other people. Who else can you think about that might be there?
I think Fonta is going to be there. We
Oh,
talked about her, from Wellthi, who she has the like virtual branch for financial services. And yeah, we wanted to you wanted to introduce her to somebody.
yeah, absolutely. Because there's an event there, the Financial Services Roundtable for supplier diversity. They have a great event there. It's going to be at Truist, and that's a collection of financial institutions, and that's right up the alley for Fonta. Like that should be a gold mine for Fonta, and hopefully she'll come, and we'll get a chance to introduce her to some of the contacts and people that we know in our network at that event. So, and Fonta had a fantastic interview. So hopefully people will check that out as well.
Yeah, Fonta came with the numbers, which we love.
Yes, definitely love the data and the numbers. That makes a world of difference in storytelling.
Yeah. So what about you? What else did you learn? How did you educate yourself in the past few months?
Great question. I actually just finished up the Salesforce program. They had a supplier diversity program that was incredible. It was an academy that Toni Martin put on with Systems to Success. And they went through step by step. Salesforce was actively involved throughout the entire academy. They spent, I don't know, it was um, like 6 months of a term, but interacting with us once every month with different leaders from Salesforce. And they actually opened up my mind to a lot of different areas of, including ESG and a couple of other areas where they really spent time with the suppliers to help understand how to contract with Salesforce, how to contract with corporations, what they're looking for. Some of the expectations were pretty high for small businesses. But at the same time, it's still good to know that you might grow into a level where they are expecting you to compete against prime suppliers, and how they interact with those prime suppliers is very aggressive in terms of looking at risk management, mitigation, looking at not only how financially strong the suppliers are, but how well they do with the service and performance. And so that academy was fantastic.
Yeah. And you get to meet Salesforce people again that you might not meet in the supplier diversity space. That's one of the things I always recommend to clients, which is that if you have an opportunity to get like on campus, I know yours was virtual, but like if you have an opportunity to get on campus with these companies, that is like such great market research for you in terms of what they're looking for and all the things they're going to do. And Heather and I are actually part of one of those programs for Aramark and Sysco. We're
Really?
delivering content alongside of the folks from Aramark and Sysco and Avendra that have all come together to level up. The name of it is level up. They want to level up their suppliers. And so it's so important when, like, I know, again, just like the conferences, like a lot of business owners are like, I've been in business 20 years. Like, I don't need education on how to run my business. At the same time, what these corporations are giving you are insight into what they want. So when you go and talk to them about this is what I can do for you, you can use their words, you can use their language, and then you meet people outside of just supplier diversity. So
Right.
like it's super. I went to Capital One recently, and they had the graduates of their SAGE program, which is just in like WBENC. It's just for women business owners in DC and New York, but then also their CATAPULT program, which is for diverse suppliers from around the country. And those suppliers were raving about it. And I met a company there that sells sausages. And I was like, how come you're at Capital One? I mean, not that they don't buy sausages maybe for their cafeteria, but I was like, what, why Capital One? She's like, I heard such good things about the CATAPULT program. I'm super bonded. Like she came in from, I think, Chicago, all the way to Richmond. And she's like, I am super bonded with my cohort. So like you have a mastermind of other companies there to support you. But then she's like, I loved the program. And so because of that, because she was at Capital One, I actually introduced her. She's already doing business with Aramark and Sysco, but I was like, you should be a part of this program. She's like, please introduce me to the Aramark and Sysco people. So because of that chance meeting, I got to connect her with the other program that I'm doing. Because I was like, oh, if you're already doing business with them, that's like low-hanging fruit. That's going to be an easy
one. And you are masterful at making connections. So I know that this is a perfect match for you. Not only from a standpoint of making like valuable connections, but also what you do with Heather is fantastic. That preparation and that understanding, like, I don't know what level, business people are doing with corporations or with government agencies, but there seems to always be room for growth. We're all small businesses, and the government's idea of what a small business is, I would love to be in, but certainly there's room for growth, and having someone to help navigate those things, especially when you're the business owner, you don't necessarily look to your staff to help you lead your way to new opportunities. So you look to someone else up here or someone else who's already navigated those waters to help you navigate towards those bigger contracts. And so congratulations to both of you on that particular program. That's phenomenal. And it sounds to me like they already have a group of suppliers that will be invited to that particular program. Is that right or no?
Yeah, that's for current suppliers right now. Because what I think what's really neat about it is they want to connect, like if you're doing business with Aramark, right? Like it's a food service company, like why shouldn't you be doing business with Sysco, the food service company? The S Sysco, not C Sysco, not the technology company. But they're like, well, if we're doing business with them, they could be a good supplier for you and vice versa. So they're not only saying, okay, this is what we're looking for, they're also talking about sustainability, which you mentioned that you heard at Salesforce too. That's increasingly becoming important. But they're also doing matchmaking. So it's like, if you're already doing business with Sysco, we're going to have a matchmaking meeting with you and the people from Aramark. And I think that's a really neat way. People are often surprised that the supplier diversity people, like, I remember we were at a conference and there's like a bunch of energy companies on stage. Like there was like Exxon, Shell, Chevron, and they were all saying, all the panelists were like, I've never been on a panel with like our biggest competitors before. So it's a space where people do, like, the competitors collaborate, which is neat.
So on another topic, that reminds me of a couple things. One, those Cisco trucks, going back and forth. I see those all the time in Chicago. But those vehicles, and you mentioned sustainability, and that reminds me of our conversation that we had with Bernita. Bernita sells unbranded fuel. She's definitely an intermediary that allows corporations like Sysco to get fuel for all those vehicles. And she is fantastic at supplying, the fuel at the right time to all the different locations where they may need it. And companies like Sysco, are traveling throughout the nation to get their supplies back and forth to their venues and locations. So, I definitely want to have another conversation with Bernita. That was a great episode. And I'm sure there's some questions that people, things that they just don't know about fuel that I think we all should understand, right? And I'm not going to quiz you, but I do
You already know I don't know. That's why.
Well, then let me ask you. So you're an example of what our audience might represent, and that is the question is, do we really know the difference between regular grade, mid grade, and premium grade fuel? No, a lot of times we don't. And that education I think is important since we still, drive these vehicles and as well, hybrid vehicles still use fuel. Um, but there is a difference in terms of your selection at a fuel pump. Eventually, we might get to a point where we need to understand how electric power and those batteries in vehicles are powered and how they're strengthened. Because in Chicago, in a few other cities, people learned the hard way about how power can be drained during the winter if your battery is not fully charged. So all that is sustainability, all that is energy. But certainly, we'll get a chance, hopefully, to talk to Bernita in Atlanta for NMSDC as well. So all these people that we interviewed, are going to all be in one place. So this is fantastic. This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
It'll be really fun to see them. And especially Bernita's, because that was one of the things where like I'm a B Corp certified company, and B Corp is talking about like who can be certified and who can't. But I thought Bernita made a really interesting point, and I don't think this was even her intention, but that like the fuel companies need to be part of the solution. Because like you said, I don't know. I don't know anything better, like what our needs are and what the demand is and what the markets look like. The people that know that are like in the fuel industry. So it was really great to have her as part of the conversation.
Right. And even now, as we kind of go through and we hear additional natural disasters and hurricanes, and you have areas that just don't have access to the needs that we can take for granted, right? And fuel is one of those major needs that empower of all different sorts. Because having power lines down, not being able to get to gas, all your stuff is spoiling your refrigerator, but also it's hot where you are and there's no air conditioning, right? So all these things kind of come to play, and I think it's important. Thanks to you, I'm committing that CEI Media Group will be B Corp certified. I am definitely much more. Yep, I am much more. I think in tune with the need to think about how we show our impact. Even though we've been making some, I think there are great strides that we can improve upon, not only in our own homes, but also as a company, even as we recommend to our clients the type of products and printing and the suppliers that we use, thinking about, are they sustainable, or how can we do this better so that we're not as wasteful with the production and things that we do for our clients. So, hopefully this will bridge into, better decisions, and we'll be able to keep ESG and DEI on the radar, especially in this time, this let's call it political season, which
Yeah.
hopefully will end soon.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Well, it's going, I mean, it's gotta end. It's gotta end at some point. But yeah, I like where you're coming from too, which is the idea of, I mean, ESG is important. You're already making an impact. Like that's what I find with small companies, especially diverse companies that are thinking about, because a corporation asks them like, I need to do this ESG thing. I need to do this. It's like, you already are. Like, it's just a question of, you know better than anybody how important it is to tell the story, and tell the story in a way that reflects your brand about that impact. So I'm excited for you to get B Corp certified. You might be cursing my name later when
You're
you're
gonna
going through.
help,
You're
we're
going
in
through.
this. You're gonna help me through it.
I'll
Hmm.
help. I'll help
Yep.
you. But yeah, but I think, yeah, the election season, we both talked about it, that having an effect on people, and they are very like people are some of my clients are loath to spend money right now, right? Like everything it's so unstable and insecure. So I'm looking forward to that election and to voting. I will be voting.
Yes, but I am happy that we have gone through this journey together, and I do look forward to working with you in the future on not only the show 12.5 minutes, hopefully be a chance to get more people to pay attention and entertain and educate, but also just working with great founders who are evolving and surviving and growing collectively as a community. And I think that's one of the best things about what we're doing. So with that, I think we should say goodbye.
Let's wrap it up. I'll see you in Atlanta.
All right, I'll see you then. All right, take care.